You know, I don't think I'm alone in saying how glad I am to see AC/DC back on the scene with a brand new record. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to get that shot-in-the-dark guitar tone with the NuX MG-300. So stay tuned. Well, hey there, it's Scott, the Pedal Guy. How you doing? Well, we're all about pedal demos, pedal knowledge, and pedal sales. I love pedals, and so do you. In this video, I'm going to show you how to get that brand new Angus Young shot-in-the-dark guitar tone with the NuX MG-300. In my opinion, the AC/DC sound really comes from three different things. One would be the rhythm playing between Malcolm and Angus, or more recently Stevie and Angus. Second would be the playing feel of Angus Young, because nobody really has that kind of vibrato except for Angus. And then the third would obviously be the gear. And the gear is where we're going to concentrate on this video. As you can see, I'm not playing a Gibson here. I'm playing a custom-built guitar that gives me a lot of the Les Paul and Gibson-like qualities in the tone. But the other thing that you really want to make sure you use is a stationary bridge, not a floating bridge. If you use a floating bridge, you're going to have some trouble trying to recreate those double bends that Angus is known for in his playing. So just keep that in mind. All right, so now let's talk about the pedals, and this is where it gets a little funny. Because as I've always understood it, Angus's sound has always been primarily guitar to amp. However, in this case, what I'm going to show you is how to get the produced sound from the MG-300 rather than just like a raw sound. So that means we are going to introduce a little bit of reverb in this preset. Additionally, the other X factor of Angus's sound has been his usage of a wireless system that gives him an additional amount of clean boost. And I'm going to emulate that with one of the boosters before it goes into the amp. And this in essence is going to create that shot-in-the-dark sound that I think you're going to really like. Let's get to it. Okay, so we're looking at the MG-300 from two different vantage points, from the QuickTone editor and also from the actual screen of the MG-300. So you can recreate this tone on your own quickly and simply. So when it comes to the amp, in this case, I chose to go with the Marshall 1987. I found that gave me a really great AC/DC-like tone right from the get-go with very little trouble. And it gives me plenty of dynamics. Now, if you notice, the gain is set to almost nothing because there's such a natural, beautiful overdrive coming from here that I just don't feel that you need to put anything more on top of that. When it comes to recreating the AC/DC sound, just remember, overdrive is going to be your friend. Distortion is not going to be your friend. So you want to just keep it calm because you're going to push this in a second with a booster. So never fear, we got your back. Okay, when it comes to the presence, I've got that at about 1 o'clock and the levels cranked. Now, if we move over to the EQ section, you can see that the bass is at noon and the mids and trebles are at about 2 o'clock. And that gives you a really good sound that's not overbearing. You can change that a little bit for the rhythm parts if you want to, but I think for the lead, this works the best. Now, when it comes to the cabinet and the microphone selection, that's where it gets a lot more fun. Okay, from there, I found that although I did my research, and in my research I found that Angus tends to use greenback Celestion speakers a lot more. I found that, which would sound something like this. I found that the T75 actually gave me a better sound. It just worked a little better for me. But the real magic of this preset, of this patch, this whatever we want to call this, it comes from the microphone, because the microphone really shapes the sound. So in this case, I'm using the dynamic E906 from Sennheiser, and it gives me a good nasal, crisp sound. But if I move to, say, the SM57, I'm losing something here. So listen. And if I move to the U87, completely different. And if I move to the C414, so the Sennheiser really won in this case. Now, finally, the last thing is the mic placement. So you can take the mic placement all the way to the left if you want to, which will give you a much more dark tone. But I found that putting it right in the middle is really where you want it to be. See how it got a little brighter as I went it back to the center? So this is where I set the amp. Again, the beauty of working with the MG-300 is you can make this any way you want to. You can try other amps if you want to. Maybe the Angle would work better for your needs. Maybe the Vox would work better for your needs. But if you're trying to create that AC/DC tone, Angus is a Marshall guy, tried and true, and that's probably the best place to start. So now let's move on to the next section. Now that we've got the amp dialed in, the next thing we're going to do is boost it. So I'm using the RC booster to give us that sound. In this case, you can see right now that, well, on the screen here of the MG-300, it's turned off, but you can see that the gain is basically set at almost 0, but the volume's cranked all the way up, and we have just a tiny little bit of treble, and that's going to give us a whole new sound to work with as far as how it interacts with the amp. So here's what we had before. And here's what we have now. Do you just hear how that rings? Especially when we start playing the chord parts. I know I've definitely got the rhythm wrong on that, but you get the point. The beautiful thing about working with a limited amount of gain in your overdrive is that those chords just ring. Okay, so when it comes to reverb, I'm going to go out on a limb here and I'm going to say that Angus probably does not use reverb in the studio when he's printing to tape. Very likely it's bone dry when it's going to tape. And then in post-production, in the mix process, that's where you'll start adding reverb to bring out the essence of the guitar and really make it stand out as far as the lead instrument goes. So we are going to still try to create that. And I found that the best reverb to do that with is a plate reverb. It gives us a nice spank to it that I think sounds really nice on the lead itself. And also it sounds really good with the chords too, because it fills in all of the empty spaces. That's what a reverb does. So here's what we had before. And here's what we have now. So you can hear there's a better sound there. And if you play the lick, so as you can hear, we went from a patch that sounded pretty insignificant to something that sounds really great. And you can use this with pretty much any of the AC/DC catalog. So you could do like Back in Black. Or you could do it with like, say, TNT. Maybe Dirty Deeds. Heck, you could even do it with Thunderstruck if you really wanted to. But again, it all comes down to how you interface with the guitar and then how the guitar interfaces with the effects and everything else. Well, that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you found this information helpful and that you'll be enjoying the MG-300 and creating AC/DC tones and everything else in between with it. If you have any questions, just use the comments section and I'll get back to you when I can. Thanks so much. Well, thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any further questions, be sure to visit us at thepedalguide.com. But in the meantime, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and also be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for weekly videos and tutorials. Thanks for stopping by here at thepedalguide.com, where I love pedals and so do you.